Alrighty, sixth graders, welcome to another exciting mathematical video brought to you compliments of Mr. Hahn. Here we go. Today we're talking about what's called reciprocals. Kind of a long word, probably not easy to spell, but it's actually one of the simplest things you will ever do in math. So if you get out a blank piece of paper, I will spell that for you. Let me get rid of this screen here. And we'll be on our way. It will not take long. So here we go. Starting off today with reciprocals. Reciprocals. The book gives a highfalutin, like whatever word definition of this. I'm going to start off with something very simple. Simply, a reciprocal is a fraction flipped over. A fraction flipped over. And it's incredibly easy. It just means this. If you have the fraction 3/8, the reciprocal of that is that flipped over. It is 8/3. Or the reciprocal of 4/5 is 5/4. That's not terribly hard, is it? Now, sometimes it gets a little more complicated if we use a whole number. What is the reciprocal? What is the reciprocal of 2? Well, if you remember, we can make 2 a fraction, and we need to do that. We can make any whole number a fraction by putting it over 1. So now I can take that fraction and flip it over, and the reciprocal of 2 over 1 is 1/2. 1/2. So that makes it pretty simple. Now, something that the book wants you to realize, and this is the book's definition of a reciprocal. The book says that a reciprocal is two numbers when multiplied. Two numbers when multiplied give you 1. Yeah. Give you 1. Which means this. For example, if you multiply these two numbers together, 3/8 times 8/3, you would end up with 24/24, which equals 1. If you multiplied 4/5 times 5/4 together, you would get 20/20, which equals 1. If you multiply 2 over 1 times 1/2, you would get 2/2, which equals, 2/2, which equals 1. Okay, now the way that they kind of put that into use here is sometimes they'll just ask you for the reciprocal of a number and you can just easily do that, but other times they make it look a little like this. They'll just, they'll write out something that looks like this. They'll go 3/8 times, and then they'll put a big old block here, equals 1. Well, if you see that anytime you see a fraction and they give you something like that and it equals 1 with its multiplication, this will not work with adding or subtracting, but 3/8 times what number is 1, you just simply know that they are asking you for the reciprocal of that, which is 8/3. 8/3. And I believe they will let you just leave that as improper. Yeah, or maybe it'll look like this. They'll put a box. They'll put a box, and they'll go times 7/8 equals 1. In which case you go, it equals 1, so that's my definition kind of a reciprocal. So the answer here is 8/7. other thing, and this is the one that most people get confused on, and so many people ask me this question. Here is another way they will ask the very same thing, except it's kind of not as apparent as that. They might ask you this. They might say, how many two-thirds are in one? How many two-thirds are in one? Which is really the same thing as what we were doing over here. They're just saying two-thirds times what number gives me one. How many two-thirds would it take to get one? In which case, you are all going to say, I know the answer to that. It is the reciprocal of two-thirds. It is the reciprocal of two-thirds, which is 3/2, which is 1 1/2 if you really do that out. How many two-thirds does it take to make one? And you could probably do that here. Take a look here. You want a visual of that? Let's quickly just take a time here. I have one circle. Not real good with this pen. I'm still working on it. I want to know how many two-thirds it would take to make one. So here, we're cutting something into thirds. So here is my thirds. Sorry. There's my thirds. How many two-thirds are in one, or does it take to make one? Well, look here. This is a third, and this is a third, and this is a third. So in one, this one whole circle, right here are two-thirds. This is two-thirds right here. So I know it takes one whole group of two-thirds. Oops, one whole group of two-thirds to make one. And then look what I have left. I have just this 1/3 piece. Okay. 1/3 is what part of two-thirds? Now, to get you to think about that a little bit here, okay, if by some chance you ordered a pizza, let's forget about this pizza here. If you ordered a pizza and it came and it was missing, here's my pizza over here. I'm going to draw it over here. And it was missing 1/3 of it. Let's say this piece was gone. You didn't have this. So for some reason, the delivery guy maybe ate that third of the pizza. Well, the question we have is, if you ate one of these 1/3 pieces, what fraction of the pizza that was delivered did you eat? Knowing that there were two 1/3s, you ate one of them. You ate half of the pizza that was delivered to you here, because 1/3 is 1/2 of two-thirds, and that's where this 1/2 comes from. Because I got one whole group of two-thirds here, and this 1/3 is only half of two-thirds, so that's where the 1 1/2 came from. If you didn't catch that, that's okay, but I like to try to show it to you. So again, remember, when it comes to reciprocals, it's just a fraction flipped over, and it's whenever you see this, how many two-thirds or how many whatevers, you know, you will know that we're thinking reciprocals. So hopefully that helps you out a little bit. It should be not too terribly difficult for people as intelligent as you.